Welcome to Game Changers. I'm Noam Weissman, Head of Education here at Unpacked, and today we have with us Coach Elliot Steinmetz and Simcha Halpert. Welcome to the show. How are you guys doing?
Doing okay. Thank you for having us.
Elliot is a commercial real estate attorney in New York with his own firm called Rosenberg and Steinmetz PC, but he's more popularly known for leading Yeshiva University to an unprecedented run through the NCAA tournament as their head coach. And Simcha Halpert just finished as one of the leading scorers in Yeshiva University history. Coach, I want to start with you. You just had a historic season. National story after national story came out about you and about the team. The owner of the Patriots, Robert Kraft, sent you a message. And in the Jewish world, you were the talk of the town. You won 29 games in a row, and you got to the Sweet 16 for Division III in the NCAA. And I wonder what it's like to have coached a team that won 29 games in a row and then has the disappointment of not being able to see the season through to the end. How did you deal with disappointment? How do you coach your players, your students, really, to deal with disappointment in general?
So, we literally found out that the season was being canceled as we were pulling up at the hotel in Virginia. So it was, we kind of expected something was coming. The NBA obviously had canceled their season the night before. Major League Baseball followed the next day. Some of the Division I conferences started to cancel their own tournaments. So we had a feeling something was coming, but we were excited and we were on the road and we were about 2 hours away from having our practice at Randolph-Macon, and then we obviously got the call that everything was done. There's no reaction and no words for something like that. Life's about perspective, and looking back at our season, there was a lot of unique things that went on, and I think the only thing you could really compare it to is I've said it before, but it's you go through a bunch of seasons of The Sopranos, and all of a sudden at the end of the last one, there's a blank screen, and you kind of just don't know what the ending really was. And we kind of had the same thing where we were kind of gearing up for something that we thought was going to be a really exciting run, and we had a lot more work to do and a lot more games that we were hoping to win, and then all of a sudden it's just shut off.
I think some people might laugh when they think of Jewish and basketball star, Jewish and athletic. In the past, I think perhaps people actually didn't associate the two with one another at all. How do you respond to that? How do you deal with that sort of question? Do you think being athletic is part of the Jewish experience?
That actually happens to be one of my favorite things in general. Just when you walk into a gym, no matter where it is, and you're wearing a yarmulke and everyone just counts you out and thinks that you have no chance in this game. Or I've seen it in every level of playing in middle school, high school, and in college, especially college. Is you walk into the gym and you're all wearing yarmulkes and they already count you out. They're already laughing. They're already making jokes here and there. And then the game starts and it's a completely different result than they were expecting. They're like, oh, Jews can ball. And that's just a lesson I carry with myself all the time. And that's one of the main reasons why I actually enjoy wearing a yarmulke during a game is it kind of just changes people's mindset a lot about Jews. And the fact that we're able to do that is just astounding and brings a lot of pride to our entire team.
Two questions to that, Simcha. Number one is, did that sort of mentality help you improve your game in basketball? And did you hear from people, anyone around the globe, that you made an impact on them by you wearing a kippah and playing basketball?
For sure. Yeah. I definitely think it was an advantage for me personally. I feel like that was kind of a chip on my shoulder where I knew I had to work harder than everybody else in order to accomplish what I wanted to. We have to go through a Judaic studies classes as well. Like during high school and during college, we have class from 8 a.m. to 4:30, 5 o'clock every single day. When you have a half a day and you're still not working as hard as I am. So I have Judaic classes, secular classes, and basketball. All you have is secular and basketball, and you have all the time in the world. And I use that as an advantage for myself to try to get in the gym more often and not just work harder, but work smarter. Also in the short time that I do have. I think that's what a lot of us see in general is that we just have to work much harder, and it's something that brings a lot of pride to our game as well because we're working so hard on it. In terms of outreach and impacting people, I think a lot of us have felt it drastically in our own communities, especially with the younger kids, younger generations who who kind of do really look up to us, which is kind of weird to say, but these kids really just do enjoy watching us. And I never had something like that growing up. I never had a Jewish basketball idol. I know there's always a couple of guys in the community who are big ballers, but we didn't have like a full team like the YU team has this past couple of years. And the following is crazy. I get Instagram DMs pretty often, people reaching out, just thanking me for playing ball, which is just a crazy concept.
Coach, what are some of the craziest things that you heard from people from around the world?
I think it's a lot of it's the surprise, and more so that's changing. I remember a couple years ago when we won, when Simcha and his class were sophomores, and we won for the first time the conference, and went to the NCAA tournament, and media was showing up nonstop. And I remember at one point saying to the New York Times, and I think they even printed this quote, was something like, hey, maybe if we start doing this on a regular basis, you guys will act like it's normal for a bunch of kids with yarmulkes to win basketball games. The most exciting and the thing that we're most proud of over the last few years is it's becoming regular, and it's becoming something that people, to an extent, expect. Something to me was even bigger than all of our, so to speak, Jewish fans who were reaching out and excited and proud, was the acceptance of our guys and their ability in the greater basketball world.
You talk about, Elliot, that your team had a lot of competitors. When there are a lot of competitors on any good team, there are lots of egos, I would imagine. What's it like to coach a team with lots of egos, or managing the egos? How do you do that? And Simcha, what's it like to play on a team with so many excellent players who are maybe competing for the spotlight?
We have 16 guys on this team who can all play. And every one of them has an ego in a good way, in that they understand that. They know how good they are. They know they belong out on the floor. You can't play 16 guys at a time. There's not enough minutes and not enough basketballs. So to manage that is not an easy thing. It falls a lot on, honestly, it falls a lot on the captains. It falls a lot on guys like Simcha Halpert, Donnie Katz, Gabriel Leifer, who are our leaders, and, to kind of keep things calm in the locker room. And it falls a lot in terms of, on the players themselves, in terms of the mentality that we're trying to sell. We had a little motto throughout the season that we went with, that we were chasing letters, not numbers. So throughout the course of every game, no matter how that game ended and who was the guy who had the numbers and the big stats at the end of the game, we were focused on the letters, which were, chasing as many W's as we can. But when it comes to a game, they're there to support each other. And to me, that was something that was special about this team.
Simcha, is that how you see it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hit it right in the nose. Something that I think is our advantage is that we're a bunch of egos, and everyone was the best player on a team in high school, and everyone wants to be the man in the game. But we're a very close knit group, and we all have a bond that every other team doesn't have. We're all Jews. We're all from somewhat similar backgrounds, and we see each other a lot the other day because why it's just a small school. We have such an advantage, in our chemistry and our camaraderie is so much stronger than pretty much every other college out there.
What advice do both of you have to young Jews who want to either follow a career in sports, or who want to perhaps just spend a lot of time playing sports and adding it to their life in a meaningful way?
So I think the lesson is and this is cliche and it's something we had to unfortunately use this year because there was no result at the end of the year. Sometimes it's about the journey, and with something like that, in terms of the individual, it very often is. The skills and the life lessons you can learn from competitive sports are off the charts. Learning how to handle all the various egos, learning how to deal with coaching, referees, playing on a team, and then at the same time management. Knowing that a student athlete is dealing with so many different things in school. So to me, it's something. If that's a dream of yours and that's a goal of yours, pursue it, because whether or not you reach it and whether or not it ends up being something that's realistic, the journey is going to have provided so many lessons and so many experiences that you'll be able to take later in life as you go into the real world.
It's very important to just, no matter what you do in life, you just go 100% in. And if you think that basketball or any other sport is something you enjoy, you love, just go all in, work your best, work your hardest, and carry that with you in any aspect of life that you go into.
I love the message there. Go 100% all in for everything that you're involved in. That's great. Rapid fire. You guys ready here? Here we go. We're gonna go quick. I want an answer from from first sim and then coach. First Simcha and then coach. So here we go. Who's the best basketball player of all time?
Michael Jordan. Nah, I lied. LeBron James.
It's Michael Jordan. And I'm not sure
documentary got you messed up right now. It's definitely wrong.
Okay. The most underrated NBA player of all time.
Of all time, I got to go with my guy Manu Ginobili.
Oh wow. Why?
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I would go Reggie Miller.
What's your favorite game moment of all time?
I think the first championship at Purchase was probably my favorite, just because we were the underdogs that year, going to their place and like kind of making their gym our home gym, because our crowd was just crazy in their place. That's probably my favorite.
The Jewish tradition or practice that you most connect to, Simcha.
I'd have to go with either a kippah or a Shabbat. Wearing a kippah or a Shabbat.
Why?
Kippah, just again that lesson of always remembering that it's God above you, and there's always a greater plan going on. Something I like to carry myself at all times. And Shabbat, just because Shabbat's just the best, and the feeling of just going into Shabbat with family and around loved ones is my favorite feeling.
What about you, Coach?
So it's interesting. I actually have the same two, but my kippah answer is a little bit different. I actually never wore a yarmulke to work until a few months back. It was something that professionally, I made the decision when I started out as an attorney not to, for various reasons. But it's interesting when all the anti-Semitic attacks started happening. I think it was already about 6 months ago in New York. Over the course of like November and December, there were various attacks, verbal and some violent, in different shuls and different communities in Brooklyn and Muncie and certain areas. And I was having a conversation with a group of friends, and some of them were saying how they, were starting to be afraid to put a yarmulke on, and they wanted to start, not wearing yarmulke at work if they were currently wearing it, so that people would ask them, why aren't you? And their answer would be, well, I'm afraid with everything going on. They thought that was a way to kind of raise awareness. I had the opposite approach. To me, it was an opportunity to make a change and to start wearing yarmulke and have people, which happened pretty often, either in my office or randomly on a train. It happened where people would ask why I'm wearing it, and I was able to kind of answer and say, this is my background. I'm not different than anybody else. I just have some different beliefs, and with everything going on in the world, I thought it was important to kind of stand up and say, kind of me too.
Well, thank you both so much for joining the show. It was an honor and a pleasure to speak to you, two very real game changers in the Jewish world and beyond. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
As always, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/unpacked. And you could find us on Instagram at unpacked.media and at unpacked media on Twitter.